Let's talk now about third wave feminism. Third wave American feminism starts in the mid-1990s and lasts till about just recently, about 6 years ago, 2012. Third wave feminism really pushed back and began to question some of the rules that second wave feminists set down for themselves. So third wave feminists, I'm thinking of the clothing piece. That's the most obvious one. Third wave feminists wanted to have much more freedom in defining what femininity or what femaleness or what female professionalism means. So Mary Tyler Moore wore pants as a second wave feminister, but Reese Witherspoon in Legally Blonde wore her absolute beautiful pink outfits and her girly girl clothes in the field of law. And I think those are good kind of contrasts of thinking about second wave feminist priorities and how they tried to fit into a male world, and third wave feminism, which says, I'm going to work in a male world, I have all the skills as a man, I'm educated like a man, but I get to look like I want. I get to wear the shoes I want. I get to wear the outfit I want. And I am not going to let a male world or a male gaze define what being a female is or what being a properly professional person is. I'm going to define that for myself. So third wave feminism really does focus a lot on women defining professionalism, women defining femininity and femaleness. This is where you really begin to see conversations around intersections of non-binary identities, right? Where heterosexual females no longer are the ones who define what femaleness looks like. Lesbians get to define what femaleness looks like. Transsexuals get to define what femaleness looks like for them. Bisexual women. These women across the gender spectrum get to kind of define what femininity is outside of the sort of heteronormative male gaze. So third wave feminism is a lot around defining femininity. It kind of starts in the 1990s out in Washington State with that band called Riot Girl, and there's all kinds of girl bands that were third wave feminists that were working to really find a female voice in the public sphere, however you want to define that. And the gates were kind of blown open in how we get to define what a woman is with third wave feminism. A big focus in third wave feminism is not only on gender diversity, but racial diversity. This is the time period where you really see women of color, especially Black women, uncovering the racism of first wave and second wave feminism. The first wave and second wave feminism really served white women who were well off. It didn't focus really on women's issues of poverty or women being totally disenfranchised. And it didn't really focus on the kind of intersections of race and class that women of color have really brought up. So in the third wave feminism, you really have a very honest discussion among women about what white women have created for themselves, and if there was room or is room for women of color to also define, for example, what femininity is, what professionalism is, what they get to wear, for example. You also see the intersection in third wave feminism around ecology and the environment. So you see a really big rise in ecofeminism, in the notion that women have special gifts and capacities to help heal the environment, to help educate us about the environment. Women in science bring different kinds of skill sets to talk about the environment. So you see also the rise of ecofeminism in the third wave of feminism. You also see, again, still a big focus on sexual violence against women, and this really expands now across the globe, which we're still, I think, seeing today. A real focus on violence towards women across the globe, and as well as then women's ownership of their sexuality. And I would say that we are still living in the third wave, even though there's a fourth wave starting in 2012, supposedly. But there's a real sense in the third wave that women get to own their sexuality. They get to say when they want to have sex, they get to say what sexy is. They get to say what a sexy body looks like. They get to be in full control of their bodies. And so this, in 1996, you see the Vagina Monologues, which was a play that started, I think, in New York. Eve Ensler wrote the Vagina Monologues, was a big phenomenon. A play about a woman talking about her vagina, right? Women taking ownership of their sexuality and of their bodies. And in the fourth wave, after 2012, the big sort of artistic performance of feminism was a woman named Emma Silkowitz, who was raped in her dormitory. And I forgot where she was. She was raped in her dormitory, and for a year, she carried around her mattress that she was raped on as a way of performance art and as a way to show what women go through in a rape culture. So that's an interesting comparison as well, right? That in the mid-90s, you have women really trying to take control of their bodies, and in the 2000s, you have young women who are really trying to show that we're in a culture where women still are not in control of their bodies, with this performance called, I don't even remember, carrying under the weight performance art. Anyway, see, I already forgot the name of it. But you can look online for Emma Silkowitz, 2014, 2015 performance art. She carried around her mattress for a year. So the third wave really gets deep into female sexuality, female control of our bodies, and then as well as white feminists reckoning with the intersections of race and class upon women's well-being. And that is third wave feminism that seems to have been phasing out somewhere in the mid-2000s. I would argue that we're still in a lot of that, and we might even be getting thrown back to second wave feminism with this political climate that is interested in overturning Roe versus Wade, or the women's right to have an abortion. So all of these waves, as much as we're talking about end periods, we're really getting thrown back to some of these things that women have fought very, very hard for. Third wave feminism.